Andrew, welcome to the show, man.
Hey Justin, thanks for having me.
For sure. Yeah, I'm really excited to dive into your story and your journey and talk about all the gifts that you bring into this world, which is, absolutely amazing. Look, I get pitched 40 to 50 times a day for people to be on my podcast. Very rarely do I say yes. And so when yours came through, I was like, what is this story? A psychic firefighter. What does that even mean? So let's dive into that stuff a little bit, man. How does one go from being a firefighter to a psychic?
Well, I never planned on this, so life kind of just happened. So yes, so to go back in time, I got on the New York City Fire Department in 2006, and I was a third generation firefighter. So my uncle got on in the 50s, my dad got on in like 80, and then I got on in 2006. So that was my plan. Like that's it. I'm going to do 20, get out, 2026 around then, and then that's it. I'm done. So I'm doing that, right? And then prior to getting on the fire department, I'd say I was open minded, right? I was somewhat spiritual, as open minded to, maybe there's life out there. Maybe after we pass away, we can get some sort of contact. So if you backtrack to 1993, I'm watching Unsolved Mysteries with my grandmother. And I say to her, Graham, when you go to heaven one day, like they do on TV, can you give me a sign like they do on TV? And she's like, yeah, I will. She looked right at me and said, yeah, I will. I'm like, okay. I forgot all about that. That's 1993. That's
Yeah.
a long time. So she lived till like 2010. So it wasn't like I was going around telling family, hey, me and Graham have this agreement. No, I just went about my life, got on the fire department. You know, 9/11 happened prior to when I got on. So I remember seeing what happened at the World Trade Center and thinking, I wish I was in there. Like that was my thought process. I wish I was in there
Wow.
to help. So I know guys that saw that and ran and said, no way I'm doing that, bro. I'm good. No way. I'm going to go be a banker or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's where I want to be. I wish I was there to help. How can I help in some way? So I trained, I got on, I got a perfect score. I got 100 and 100 on the written and physical, and it still
Wow.
took me 6 years to get on. So I wanted this so bad. I didn't want to do anything else. So I'm on the fire department 2006. My grandmother passes away in 2010, and I went out to eat with my mom to a restaurant right after my grandmother died, and a psychic was there. And he told me some things that were interesting. He said, your grandmother's here. She had cancer. She passed away from cancer. Who's the firefighter? Some interesting things. So that kind of planted a little seed. And then a year later, I went and I started to go on the psychic journey, like going to meditation classes, psychic development classes. So I started doing that stuff. And in the meantime, I'm not telling anyone at work. I'm just
Yeah.
going to the firehouse, and I don't want anyone to know that I'm remotely interested in this. But it really piqued my curiosity because I'm like, I loved my grandmother dearly. At the end of her life, she had cancer. I took care of her. And to think I'm here with her one moment and then she's just gone, it just didn't sit right with me. So I was like, I'm going to find out where she is or what's going on or get some sort of sign or something. And if I can do that, maybe I can meet other people and we could help each other. I don't know, maybe, who knows? And I just went on this journey and I started taking classes to tap into this ability. And then I'm sitting with people doing like a couple minute meditation and sitting with them and telling them, like, they're like, okay, what are you seeing? You picking anything up? And I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to see these black and white images coming in, and I'm
Hmm.
describing events. For example, like I'm seeing a car going in reverse, hitting a telephone pole. Someone's left leg is amputated. Is this person's name Vinny or Vince? And this girl's like, yeah, that's my uncle Vinny. It happened to him exactly. And I'm like, nah,
Wow.
come on. Like nah, they're
That's
just
such a
have
random thing, too.
exactly. And I don't know these people. These people I've never met. I'm just meeting them literally in Long Island or New York City, Brooklyn, Manhattan on the weekends doing this training. And I don't know them. I'm not hanging with them during the week. I'm just going to the firehouse and like hiding away from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm
Yeah.
like, was such a taboo, like double life thing for me at first. So I'm going to the firehouse, doing my 24s, then going and doing this on my days off at night, on the weekend, whenever I can. I'm trying to absorb everything that I possibly can, just getting as much training, as much info. And then I finally had a reading with a girl that put it together like, hey, this is for real. I finally
Yeah.
had that, like that experience of like, okay, there's no way that anyone could have known this or planted this. Or, it took months, it took like 6 months to finally go, okay, this is no one like pulling my leg or nothing. No way. I read a young lady and I had said to her, I described a young girl coming through that was talking about how she passed away on a holiday weekend in Long Island, like a boat flipped over and she was missing, something like that. And I'm like thinking, as I'm doing this, I'm like, is this accurate or am I literally losing my mind? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? Because I didn't grow up like this. You know, my parents, my dad was a firefighter, my mom's a teacher. So it's not like I'm going home sharing this stuff. I'm literally doing this and then like keeping this to myself after. You know what I mean? It was crazy at first. So this girl was like, yeah, this all makes sense. And I go, the girl that's coming through is telling me about like a pink shirt with a white heart on it. She's like, I don't know what that means. I go, and a guy with like an Avengers outfit. She's like, no, I have no idea. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm off or something's wrong, right? I can't do this, right? Oh my God, whatever's going on. The reading finishes and the girl's like, hey, they made a memorial for this girl. This is in like 2010. So this is like, I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on social media, none of that stuff. So she's like, Andrew, I know her family has like this page out there, like in honor of her somewhere. Let me just see if there's some photos. I'll show you what she looked like. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me see. So she tracks down and finds this thing, this memorial page or whatever. And there is a photo of this girl in a pink shirt with white hearts on it.
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
that's what I saw in the reading. And then there's another photo of a man with the Avengers outfit on. I go, who is that? She goes, that was her stepfather. And he like raised her, like really took care of her. I go, oh my God. I could see that in the reading. Now, at this time, when I started doing this for the first 12 years, I did not do this as a job. This was 100% to help people for free, no
Yeah.
charge, nothing. I was just doing this training. Like, hey, if I could help people do this and I have a full-time job as a firefighter, I'm making good money, I'm happy, healthy. I don't need any more money. Like I'm good, I'm set. But if I could help people, that's why I got into this was just to help them. So I'm living this double thing, right? And then all of a sudden, one day around 2017, I do a podcast with a guy. And I'm like, all right, I do this one interview, just talk about my story. And then I didn't know at the time, but the New York Post, I guess someone from there was watching the podcast and then they were also researching me. And
Huh.
then all of a sudden, 4th of July weekend, I get a text on the beach in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn. I'm hanging out on the beach. I get this text from someone I don't know. Hi, I'm from the New York Post, blah, 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 blah. I'm dropping an article about you tomorrow. Can you give me a comment? And I'm like, wait, what? What, what did you write? Like, can you send me a copy now? I said, what do you mean you can't show me what you wrote? You want to comment? Well, how can I comment? She's like, I go, you researched me for months. You want me to comment on something I can't read. And I don't even know what you researched. You're not even like fact checking. You know what I
That's
mean?
how they
Nothing
get you,
like,
man.
so I'm thinking she's going to ruin my life, my career. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'd been on the job at that point for 12 years, something like that. So this is, you know what I mean? More than halfway there. I'm like, oh my God. So I called a lawyer and then I called the New York City press desk, fire department press desk. And they're like, I had to tell the FDNY press desk where all the chiefs, associate with, everyone's there. And I told them everything, told them what I was doing on my days off, blah, 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 blah. And they were basically like, we have no problem with that. And I'm like, oh, okay. They're like, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh my God. They're like, don't worry, we'll talk to the Post. Well, the Post ran the article. And of course, now it ended up being a blessing. But at first, no, I did not want that to happen or it to come out that way. I always wanted to sit with somebody like this and explain everything. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
there's a lot to it. It's not just a half-page article. Like, no. You got to sit and see the whole thing through, why I got to that point, why I did this. So that article came out. I was traveling to Australia, and then I got asked to speak at a conference here. And then basically traveling here, I met a girl, spoke at a conference, moved here, became a mortician to get residency.
Jeez.
And then when COVID came, I got messages from all over the world for readings, psychic readings. And I'm like, all right, I just got my residency finally, so I can open my own business. And I'm just going to go into this and go all in because this is what I always wanted to do anyway once I got into it. And yeah, now that's how I became the psychic firefighter now all the time.
Unbelievable. It's so fascinating because I've talked to a number of psychics, like some, I think one or two on the podcast through the years, and then just meeting them out in the world. And a lot of them go, well, I knew I had this gift as a young kid, and I kind of pushed that down, right? I tried to escape it. Did you have any moments in your childhood where you saw things or experienced things that maybe would bring you back to this? Because there's a reason you got called into this, probably beyond your grandmother.
Oh, definitely. So thinking like, of course, right? At the time, I'm like, why is this happening? What's going on? But then looking back at it, at 5, I lost a best friend. I was living in Long Island. My friend died. He had a heart replacement. He died. Now at
Mm,
5, right? 1985. There's no social media. When if you move, I moved like a year later. You're not like calling people to see what's going on. You know what I mean? You just go about life as a kid.
yeah.
So I didn't know how to process that. I didn't have like a support network, nothing like that. Then at 13, another best friend died where I lived in Floral Park, Long Island.
My
So I'm
gosh.
like, oh my God. Same thing. Like my parents, nothing against them or anyone, but no one had the resources to deal with that twice. You know what I mean? So it was just
Yeah.
like, what do I do? They're like, oh, go to therapy. We'll get you a therapist. Okay. That's helpful. You know what I mean? That helps a little bit, but I wanted like where are they? What's going on? Because at night I'm seeing like their apparition, or I think they're trying to communicate with me. I don't
Mm,
know because it's not like I could wake up in the morning and go to school or go on Facebook and watch a podcast. You know what I mean? It was like my psychic background growing up was like unsolved mysteries and my grandmother.
yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's it. So yeah, I think I was getting little subtle signs along the way of this, just like little droppings.
Sure.
And then it all finally came together through me. I noticed when I lose people, death or extreme loss, I seem to get closer. I have more experiences with this stuff.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. And so what does happen when we cross over? Where, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I've studied this at length, and from working hands on and even working in a funeral home as a mortician, I mean, I've seen a lot with death, pretty close to. I always say I'm not dead, so I can't tell you because I'm not there. But what I believe or what I understand from my communication is it's like we're here, right? We're getting more and more non-physical each day on Earth. Okay, we're
Mm,
going closer and closer to something. Now the souls, they're non-physical, so we have this combination of the body and this spirit, like this other thing that's kind of greater. I think most people understand that or kind of have a sense of some of that. And then eventually when you die, you're all that. So picture a radio dial, right? Right now, you and I are at 97 FM. The souls and everyone, they're at 99 FM. When I meditate, I go up to 98. They see me meditate or go into that other state. They can drop down into 98 FM. We can communicate back and forth, get some symbols, signs. After it's done, they drop to 99. I go back down to 97. That's the best way to understand it, just like a different station.
yeah. No, that's fascinating. And so when you begin to call people in, right? Say you're doing a reading, like do you have control over who's coming through, or is what happens? Like how do you navigate that?
Yeah. So my understanding of the way I was, taught it and, shown early on in my experiences, whatever is there could be there. So for example, sometimes right away letters will come through and it usually is a letter of your relative that passed. Okay. Their first name, something like that, or a number, or the way they passed. A lot of the times the first thing I see is the method of crossing, or
Mm,
I have had it happen sometimes. There's something imminent about somebody's health or their journey or what they're doing, and that has to be addressed right away. So that's the first thing I say. And I want to be clear, I never, ever, ever will ambush somebody. I don't just walk up to somebody on the street and say, hey, your grandmother's here. Because if you do that, my experience, growing up and living in Brooklyn, if you live on the beach in Brooklyn, Brighton Beach, where I live, and you're walking on the boardwalk and I just rolled up on somebody and said, hey, your grandmother has a message for you, I might get stabbed. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that is out, bro. That's Hollywood stuff. You know what I mean? That's out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I imagine not everybody's open to receive it. There's a lot of people in this world who look at what you do and they go, "Oh, that's rubbish. It's a scam. It's a this." How do you handle that kind of feedback and backlash?
So surviving the firehouse kitchen, I think prepared me for anything because even if you're doing everything right, when you go to work, you're going to get hammered. You're going to get, your chops broken because that's a sign of acceptance. You know what I mean? If they're not talking about you saying something, whoa, you better be worried. But if you're in the mix or they're busting your chops, that's good. So I think that prepared me for being in the media or anything else that had come or comes up or the way people misinterpret something. I know, like anything, right? When I read people, same thing. It's an hour. It's not a minute. You know what I mean? A minute is a quick thing. So to get something, that's just the very, very beginning of anything. A minute reading doesn't even do justice to the whole experience. So I say with people that are out there, I don't mind being skeptical, but to be cynical, I think that's very narrow minded. And those same people, some guys I worked with, that was cynical, that, oh, this is BS, this is nonsense. Those same guys have tracked me down now years later. Hey, man, my cousin just died. My mom just died, bro. Can you help me out? So I know at some point, everyone has that moment where they get checked or they're like, oh my God, for me, and I've gone through this too, but like the priest isn't cutting it. He doesn't have the answer. The therapist doesn't cut it. They don't have that answer. And you need that other thing that somebody else might be able to give you. You'll go on that journey and you'll be very open minded. But death has a powerful way of bringing us to our knees.
Yeah. What do you think most people are looking for? Like you said, the priest doesn't have the answer. The doctor doesn't have the answer. What are people looking for?
Yeah. So, I mean, I get this even just yesterday. So, somebody passed very sudden, right? So, for example, I'm like, first thing that came through, I go, whoa, you have this very important ring that you were given from your sister. And she's like, the lady lit up. I go, she's making a huge deal with this ring. This is so big. She goes, yeah. She goes, my sister went to the doctor for a health checkup. She goes, hey, hold my ring. I got it. I can't go in the machine with this. She goes in the machine and drops dead.
Oh my gosh.
And she had the ring in her hand. She goes, what do I do with this? I don't even know what to do with this. I go, that's the first thing that came through. It's such a big deal. So, of course, they want to know, is she okay? What do I do? Because most people in life, they don't have a plan. Like, hey, if I die, do this. I mean, like young people that die, older people
Yeah.
maybe have a plan, but nobody that's young has, hey, God forbid this happens, do this. No, it's a disaster. It's a train wreck. So people want to know, what do I do? Are they at peace? What do I do? What do they want me to do with their remain? They want all these questions. So that's the thing. Are they at peace? Are they okay? Do they forgive me? Do they understand I'm doing the
Mm.
best I can? I noticed this overwhelming grief that happens when people die. They're like, do they know I'm trying to do the best they can? And yes, they totally get it. Because look at it this way. Imagine removing the emotion. I mean, the nonsense, right? You're fighting over a parking spot. You didn't come to Christmas. You don't talk to me because of a Facebook post, some nonsense. And then
Yeah.
that person, your brother or sister, drops dead. You would forget about all that BS and just be like, oh my God, I love you. I don't care. I'm here. That's how they are. Most of the time, they're like that. Very rarely are they like holding a grudge because they are gone. They're free from all the physical nonsense that we deal with. And they're basically in this like pure love form.
So you talk about how these messages come through. Sometimes it's a letter, sometimes it's a number, sometimes it's the way they die. And you had mentioned you saw black and white images. Do you actually see the carnage, for lack of a better term, that some people have gone through?
Yeah, they were literally so picture an old Charlie Chaplin movie, like like a movie from the 30s or 40s, that black and white, and it seems real fast. It's
Yeah.
like ba 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 ba, you know what I mean? Like da 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 da. That's what it's like when I see it. Exactly. That's how I see it. It'll come almost at the beginning, like a little sprinkled in, like a sparkle on 4th of July, when it's like warming up like a TV, like the fuzz. It starts like that, and then these images just rip right in, and they will show me, yes, sometimes in detail, exactly how they passed. Sometimes I'll get a feeling of what they were feeling, or if they're having trouble breathing right at the end, I'll be like,
Mm.
I can't breathe. I can't. And they're like, oh my God, or like I feel like there's a tube down my throat, and they're like, yeah, they were intubated. Things like that. They're not speaking to me, so they're not saying, Andrew, my name is Jane Smith. I died September 8th. This would be so easy. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I always tell people, if they talk to me, spoke to me, no offense, but I'd be at the FBI and CIA right now finding all the missing kids
Yeah.
and solving every unsolved murder. Today, you'd never see me again. But they don't talk. It's like metaphors. And why do missing people and why do people that vanish, or the people at Gilgo Beach, why did all these people that got taken or they vanished or they got murdered, why don't they come through and just tell us? My understanding from speaking with a very well-respected psychic that worked with police as well for years, Nancy Olin Weber, she told me, and I believe this too, she said, Andrew, sometimes the souls don't want to relay what happened to them of how they died, because that might cause more trauma and drama to the family if they find out the truth. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So that
Yeah.
could be why sometimes people say, oh, I can't connect, or I'm not getting a hit, or they're not showing me, how they actually died. Sometimes they don't. They just talk about something from when they grew up.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. So you obviously have seen some crazy things, experienced some crazy things, even beyond the spirit world. Obviously, you've seen angels. You also have seen and have encounters with aliens. I want to talk about that a little bit. What came
Sure,
first, the
sure.
aliens or the ghosts?
Yeah, so in 1999, I was in the U.S. Coast Guard on the Coast Guard Cutter Durable down in St. Pete, Florida. 210-foot boat, 72 sailors, and we're out at sea. And it's late at night after midnight. I'm on the top of the boat doing scans. So you take night vision goggles and regular goggles and scan the boat. I saw basically two round whitish silver objects moving. And I called up the officer on duty. Next thing I know, there's like 20 people. We're all looking at these objects. After about 10 minutes, they merge together. When they merge together, they just vanish. They're gone. No trace, no trail, no sound, nothing. And they did not get detected on radar, which is like impossible. So this is 1999. Okay. This is
Yeah.
pre iPhone. And you know what I mean? Think about that. This is way, way, way back in the day. So I'm just like, what? Well, what is that? That's crazy. And the guys are like, don't worry, you're going to see things out at sea unless it's like a real threat. Don't panic. It's okay. I'm like, no, I'm just excited. It's so cool. Whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. I'm thinking it's explainable at first, right? But when it did that, nah, there's no way you can explain that. So that's 1999. Then in 2001, I heard of this guy named Dr. Stephen Greer,
Yeah, I'm
who
aware of
was
who he
this,
is.
and he claimed that he could proactively communicate with UFOs or something like that. I'm like, I don't know if that could be done. I think what I saw was by accident, but he's got all these ex-military people. So maybe I could meet them one day. So in 2011, I flew to the desert in California and spent a week with him learning the CE5 method. And I
Wow.
thought, I said, if nothing happens, if this is nonsense, no problem. I will go back and tell everyone I just spent 5 grand with my partner to go to Cali to waste my time and money. And I will let everyone know, absolutely. That is not the case. When I went out there, I can tell you this, the first night, nothing happened. I didn't see anything at night, nothing at all. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm ruining it. It's me. I'm blah, 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 blah. I go back to my hotel room, and at 3 in the morning, this greenish orb or something appeared in the room, and it basically stayed at the end of the bed until the sun rose. I got up, walked around the room trying to find it. Was it a smoke detector? Was it a light outside? We were staying in Borrego Springs, the desert in California, the middle of nowhere. Okay. There's no outside lights. There's nothing. So this thing is at the end of the bed, and the person I'm with is a New York cop. So a decent trained observer. You know what I mean? Her
Yeah.
and I were looking like, all right, let's just stay. Let's not move now. And the thing went up the wall 2 feet and just stayed there till the sun came up and then vanished. That morning, I went out. I told Dr. Greer at breakfast and the team, like 30 of us, what happened. And from that moment on, in the daytime to the nighttime till now, 2026 now, every day or night, if I go outside and I sit on the beach or I'm walking the dog or with my family, these orbs, these balls of light, whatever you want to call them, just come. I've had them studied, analyzed at MUFON. I've had them studied by Dr. Gary Nolan at Stanford University. I've had them studied all over the world. And everyone's like, that's not fake. I don't know how you're doing that, but they seem to be connected to or responding to our consciousness. And when you are aware of them, they are aware that you are aware of them, and they come more often. That's my experience, and thousands of people. But the last few years, I started filming them. At first, I didn't even want to film it. I didn't want to get into arguing online. What's real? It's a spot. No, because the experience when you're there, when you see it and you interact, you can't even put it into words what it's like. And I do believe that there is some sort of connection or interface that when we die, wherever we go, that other frequency, that is where these UFOs or aliens, whatever you want to call them, our cousins, the beings, I think they're all in that other space in between wherever we go.
Yeah, and obviously it always leads to the question of anybody who has had contact, what is their purpose? Like, why can only some people see them? Why are they appearing what seems to be more often lately? Like, what's their deal with us?
I think they are frightened and they see what's going on here on Earth. Now imagine being up in space, looking down at a jungle where the animals are armed and killing each other.
Yeah.
I think that's what they see, and they're like, "We're not just going to come and fix your problems because then you don't learn." It's like a child, you got to learn how to ride a bike. You got to watch them. You don't want them to fall, but yet they kind of have to. You don't want them to fall off the edge of a cliff, so you're going to kind of guide them. I think that's what's going on. They're definitely connected to us, whether they seeded us or they're connected with us. I can't say for sure. I just know that wherever I go in the world, they seem to follow me wherever I go. I've never been abducted. I've never been probed. I've never been taken. None of that Hollywood nonsense. That's BS. That stuff.
Yeah.
That's just what I believe, and that's my experience with it. Okay, I think if they were dying off, meaning if their breed or race was dying off, yeah, they might come and they might do what they have to do to survive, just like we would. But that's not an abduction and taunting and probing and torturing somebody. That sounds very human-like, and I know that there are things out there that are human-like where they do those weird things. But I think that they come unconditionally. They're connected with us. Some of their races have, I think, adjusted their DNA where they've removed emotion and other things like that. And they became very robotic. I think that's why when they look back at us, they see where we're going with AI. And that's terrifying them that we are losing or removing a lot of our humanity. And we
Yeah.
could get out of control with this and lose that human connection to one another and to mother child. And then eventually having robots have, all this stuff can get very deep, but they're just very scared, I think. And that's why they come when they can. Most of the time that they've come here, they've been shot down. I mean, the military's admitted it. They're
Yeah.
already doing this and shooting the craft down. This is like, I've been talking about this for years. Oh, you're crazy, this and that. Now it's on frontline news. So yeah, I think there's nothing to fear if they do any harm. Why would they wait till we had nuclear weapons to come and do some, doomsday thing? No end of the world, no Armageddon. That's never going to happen. That's all nonsense. They're just here, but we have to learn and grow. We have to figure this out.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And so, like, obviously, like, what's funny about the world? My wife and I were just talking about this. If it seems like all the conspiracy theorists at some point just it becomes true, right? So the conspiracy theory, and I mean, and now with the Epstein stuff becoming released, at least what they want to show us, or they're being forced to show us, this was a conspiracy theory forever from the elites and what they're doing. I think that as a humanity, we need to wake up and we need to obviously lean into love a heck of a lot more. Obviously, you're somebody who can tap into this consciousness beyond the human surface. What do you see happening going forward? Not that you're a fortune teller, but what can you see happening or has been communicated to you for the future of humanity?
Yeah, so I think we will get it together. We will get through this. This is just like the end of a cycle. So a lot of times you look into the Kali Yuga or cycles to keep it. I like to keep things real simple. Like if I could explain this to a firefighter, good. I can explain it to anybody. You know what I mean? It's like a regular person. You know what I mean? So I like to keep it real simple. But basically, I think we're at the end of this cycle. And if you look back in time at cycles, towards the end, there's a lot of wacky things or revolutionary type things or extreme things. It's all normal. And then they talk about this awakening or ascension, or just to keep it simple, it's just a new energy, a new vibration literally coming in. And we're at the end of this cycle, but this new energy will usher in. And that is the change. Just this awareness like, oh, wow, collectively we've come together and now UFOs are a reality. So it shows you collectively as the hive mind, if we focus on something good too, world peace, love, healing, all of that stuff, it only takes 1% of the population to do that to cause a change. They've done studies. They've gone into neighborhoods doing meditation in neighborhoods, and it will reduce the crime. But people
Wow.
have to be on board with this. Oh, yeah, this is Dr. Greer talked about this, and even in the Bible, they talk about the 144 million or 1,000, whatever the number is. They're just talking about the 1% of the people waking up, I believe, waking up and getting in tune. That can help everyone because think about it. If you're doing right in your home, you'll have a good impact on the people in your four walls. So keep it simple, right? Your four walls do the right thing. That has a great ripple effect. And then if every parent or parents in the house do that, that'll have a very good effect. And that's how this thing grows. Look at the UFO thing. Look at any big movement, the AIDS movement, right? When that first came out, wow, that was a real extreme thing for people to come forward and share that. It's kind of
Yeah.
similar to the UFO thing to come forward. You're crazy, you're that, right? You're this and that. Well, that's happening now. So it shows you if people unite, we can come together and share a positive message to be together because we came here together. We are meant to be here and figure this out together. So yes, we have to do this and figure this out. It's not going to come externally. They can guide, they can assist, but ultimately the average person has to go, hey, enough is enough. I don't want to live like this. We're here to do more. I want to live in a different, frequency, a different reality, and I'm going to choose different. And I think that when the average person does realize that, yes, that's when this great shift finally can happen.
What's your thoughts on reincarnation as far as we pass and then we come back maybe to learn more lessons or whatever the case may be? What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, that's fascinating because I know UVA, University of Virginia, they did a great study with kids that were claiming they were World War II soldiers or all these things. And then they would take the people to places where they said the soldier died that was them in a previous life without having any knowledge. These are like very, very young kids. So no doubt about it. I feel there's a great TV show to watch. It's called Dark on Netflix.
Okay.
Excellent. I think that nails what's going on. So at CERN, they have a device. Everyone on on the internet, oh my God, it's like a doomsday thing or like some portal. They're opening up a black hole. No, no, no. I think what they're doing is they're trying to wake us up out of this endless cycle of reincarnation that we're in. We seem to be, a lot of us, experiencing deja vu, synchronicity. Wow, I feel like I'm connected to you from somewhere else. If we've done this before, I think this worth looking into that, right? There's more, we got to look into that a little bit more. I think, yes, we've been here before. We've all been recycled multiple times. There's a lot of evidence of that. And the kids that have no way of knowing that's where it's, oh my God, that blows me away. So that for me is very good proof. They did a 10-year study at UVA and they basically said, yeah, this is real. This reincarnation stuff is real. There's no way these kids know that. And I've experienced that. I felt that deja vu. I know people have. The Matrix 2, that movie, same thing. Very good movie to watch about this. But yes, I feel reincarnation is 100% real. If you were born on the same day as a relative, it's rare, but if you have the same numerical day as another relative, could be a different year. You were in the same household in the previous life. Okay. And I
Wow.
notice people that have the same birthday, that are in the same family, they even will say, wow, they remind me so much of that person. They're so similar. It's like they were soulmates or brothers or sisters in a previous life. I have heard this hundreds upon thousands of times now because I always love hearing about people's birthdays and looking for patterns. And I noticed that when people have the same birthday in a family, there's some sort of past life connection.
Yeah, I know, you said when you started this, I just wanted to help people. So how are you continuing to get your message out there and get to the masses with your gifts in the world?
So I have a website, psychicfirefighter.com. Right now, I was just in a 3-part docuseries called Contact. That's being shown at all the film festivals. That's already won 8 awards. It's had over a dozen placements. That's amazing because that's been peer reviewed. So this is a film where people, regular life people like myself, have gone through all sorts of things in life and shared our journey in the different realms. Paranormal realm, astral realm, divine realm. So we've won awards at paranormal film festivals and Christian film festivals. Like
Wow.
this is how, yeah, this is not just, Star Trekkies or, people that are into horror. No, this is Christians that are watching this coming out of this film in tears because they know this people having experiences with angels, with aliens, with beings they can't even describe that are formless, wordless. So I don't even like to limit it saying alien or angel. I think whatever works for you might be your relative, but there's something else or something greater that's out there that seems to come to us when we're in a bad setting or going through something really traumatic that shows up that we can depend on. And sometimes it takes trauma or stress to activate this connection. I spread that message through, social media. I'm all social medias. I was in a series called Close Encounters Down Under last year in Australia. They took my UFO footage in that, analyzed it professionally at MUFON. And the head director of MUFON here came out and said, this is the real thing. The object's way too low to the ground. So I continue to speak with scientists, have my footage, my experiences studied, analyzed. I still am. I'm writing a book at the moment, and I'm working on a few more projects to do some more stuff on TV. But ultimately, the internet, oh my God, that's the best way. Go to my website or find me online because that's the best way to spread this message through, interviews. Yes. One thing too, I want to be clear. Predictions, definitely. I think that the future is bendable. It's flexible.
Yeah.
And yes, I have predicted things that have come true. I have seen things that have not come true. No one's 100%, of course not. But I noticed this. People will sit with me. I will tell them, this is what I see. This is what I feel. I will give them a plan or a blueprint. Hey, do this. And I've had people come back to me and saying, I did that and this did work. And I've had, I read anybody from my neighbors to, people like in the Middle East to actresses. It's not all about that. And I'm not even like that. I'm just saying, I don't care who it is. People find me. I don't go find them. People have just randomly found me through social media and Facebook. I'm here to help any and all, just like a firefighter. I run into a burning building. I'm not asking you, hey, what do you do for a living? What's your political background? No, I'm running in there and get you out, bro. Sort that out later. You know what I mean? So I take that same approach to doing mediumship. I don't care about any of that stuff. If you want help or you need to hear the message or a little boost, I'm here for you. If not, then I'm not the person for you.
Dude, I love it. I love it. So what has been a reading that you've done that like it doesn't leave you, something that stuck with you to the core?
Yeah, so it's a lot of the times, right? I get all these a lot of good readings, but you can't share them because people are like, "Oh, don't tell anyone. This
Yeah.
is private. I'm on TV." You know what I mean? I don't want anyone to know. I do. So something I could share, right? I want to share who, right? So, right, I had someone come to me and randomly through a friend. So I had someone find a Facebook reading. I read them. Oh, can I send someone to you? Anyone to you? Yeah, I don't care. What? No problem, man. So I read this guy, and at the time, he's like, "Hey, man." I'm not working. Everything's going really bad in my life. When am I going back to work? I said, oh, in 2.5 years. He's like, what? I said, basically, over 2 years, November 2024. He's like, dude, that's in 2 years. I go, you got to wait. You got to lay low, take care of yourself, do the right thing, stay out of the spotlight. Just leave it alone, bro. You will go back to work. To November 2024 rolls around. Bang. He goes back to work. He goes, dude, you have to come on my podcast. And I went on his podcast, this actor, Army Hammer. At
Yeah.
the time when I read him, I'm in Australia. He'd been going through all this legal stuff. I said, that's going to go away. Everything's going to get dropped. You're going to be fine, but it's going to take till November 2020. He goes, how do you know that? I go, because I'm seeing a calendar. They're pointing to November 2024. I see an X, so it's going to go away. That's my interpretation of this, but stay out of trouble. If you keep doing whatever, or you're going out of, getting involved with stuff, no, that's going to affect this. But if you lay low, work on yourself, this will happen. So that is something that people can look up and look and see his side of it too. We did a podcast about it that I can share gladly. Yes, when I give people a plan, a blueprint, and they do this, that's a great example of it working. If it doesn't work, go Google me, go look me up online, find something where someone says this guy came to me, he lied, he da 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 da. I haven't come across it yet. That's just my experience. I haven't, but I always share to people what I think, do this, do that. And then, hey, man, it's up to them what they make of it. But yeah, I think a lot of people come in and then external factors might get in the way. And then they start to do something and then, oh, I don't want to commit to this. But if people commit to something or commit to the vision they have, stick to that vision because that sixth sense of that thing will talk to you even without me. It'll talk to you on your own. That thing inside of you, that extra sense, trust that thing. It will never steer you wrong.
Yeah, and by the way, so did you know I watched the documentary about Army Hammer. Did you know what was going on when you sat down with him? That's the
No,
first
no, I had
question.
no
No, okay.
idea. I met him in September of 2022. So that's before that House of Hammer thing.
Yeah.
Like I had no, I'm in Australia. I'm not even in America. So I had no idea. And when he booked in, it just said AH. So I didn't even know who I was reading. And I'm like, wait, well, you look kind of familiar. He's like, oh, I'm an actor. I'm like, well, I'm from New York. Everyone's an actor, like whatever. And then I'm like, yeah, hey, someone's going on. This is going to happen. I didn't know any of the people though. I didn't know anyone in his family. I ended up reading a lot of his relatives after, but at the time I had no prior knowledge of anything. And I said to him, I go, your mom, I go, you have a brother that's on the other side. He's like, oh, I don't. I go, yeah, you do. Ask your mom. And his mother admitted to him, yeah, I lost a child and never told anyone, blah, 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 blah. So he shared that. We shared that in the
Wow.
podcast. That's public. Like I would never share anything intimate, obviously, with anybody, but that's something we should have said. Ask your mother. You have a brother coming through. He's right here. I am certain. So when I read people, and they'll notice this, I'll be like, no, I'm certain. Find out. Ask somebody because I want to make sure my signal is clear and you're getting the message. If somebody's there, don't know, go ask a relative. And if I'm off or wrong, let me know, please. But people will come back to me and go, oh my God, like him. Dude, he goes, that rocks me, man, because I never heard that. I'm like, nah, dude, you were right about everything except the one thing. I don't have a brother on the other side. And my mom said, yeah, it was a little baby boy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah,
That's
man,
cr-
I trust what I do. It's not about being right. I know what I see. My job is to relay it to you. That's my job. How you interpret that and what you do, that's your business. But I just trust I know what I see.
yeah, that's unbelievable. And watching that documentary, I would have told you that he's never going to get another shot. Right? Like I would have been like
Yeah, yeah.
he's never going to
Yeah,
work again.
exactly. And that's somebody, right? This is not like somebody just out of work or like one thing. This was everyone dropped you, everyone's walking away from you. And he's like, this is going to get worse. I'm blah, 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 blah. Like bad things were coming. And I go, no, that's just not what I see. And I will always, he's like, do you say this to everyone? I go, no, because dude, that's a big thing for that to rebound, right? Whatever's going on. I didn't even
Yeah.
know the extent. Then the doc came out and I go, just hang in there. Then at the new year again, we checked in. I go, bro, it's still the year. It's still the time. Just hang in there. Try, it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden he goes, dude, I just got called to go back to work. Now he just finished 3 films. He's doing great. Like, oh my God, what a reversal. So if he can rebound or bounce back from it, no matter what you're going through, how bad it is, how public it is, you can get it back together. Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a great message. And so, how can people tap in? Because, like you said, it's with everybody, right? This ability to tap into your sixth sense or whatever you want to call it. How can somebody kind of tap into their own higher self or whatever so they can help guide themselves? Because obviously, they can't always have you on speed dial. I mean, they can, but it might get pricey over time.
Of course. So I always say to people, this is just what I did in particular, right? I always said if I could find somebody to train with directly, like one on one, I'm doing it. That's me because I want to learn from the master. When I went to the firehouse, I wanted to train with the senior guy, not a guy that had a week. That's just me. So I would always go to try to find somebody. But if you can or you want to do it another way, fine. Go learn transcendental meditation. That's what I learned day one with Dr. Stephen Greer. You can learn that anywhere, anywhere you want. I teach it. People teach it all over. You can find that anywhere. Do some sort of silent or guided that meditation, right? That mantra meditation or a silent meditation. Do that daily. Do it 20 minutes twice a day. Call me in 3 months. If nothing happened, if it's nonsense, go write a Google review and tell everyone that it's a sham and blah, 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 blah. Just that alone will change your awareness, will make you way more present to see the nonsense around you. Because if I don't meditate daily, if I don't do still my TM 20 in the morning, 20 in the afternoon, I get too wrapped up with all the nonsense in the world and I start to like associate and get nutty. So I do that. That grounds me from all the daily life things so I can go in that zone daily. Now, you don't have to be psychic to do that. I do TM and I've learned it with a lot of people over the years that are not psychic. They do all sorts of things. So that is the number one thing that'll help you tap in. I know a lot of firemen now are doing Qigong, but TM meditation is definitely, I'd say, the number one thing. I always say you got to do a daily meditation because you need to be present. When you're in the silence, when you're present and in silence, that is the only way that I can communicate with the souls or the UFOs. They will only come in the silence. If I'm too all over the place, nah, it's like, right? It's like tuning into 5 radio stations at once. It's too garbled. Like, whoa, bro,
Yeah.
slow down. One at a time, go through that's what the meditation does. It goes to one station. Whereas normally we have like 20 going, right? And all these windows open on your computer. That's what it's like during the day for all of us. Meditation removes the windows and just goes to the home page.
Do you ever doubt yourself? Do you ever think, oh, maybe this isn't like maybe I'm just getting into a weird dream state versus like this is actually happening? Because I think that if I were to start
Yeah.
seeing
So
things, I'd be like, I think I'm going crazy.
yeah, of course. So I've had over the years people I love, family, friends, dear to me, and I'd see things and say, "Hey, I noticed this. You got to get it looked at. Health things, like serious stuff. Like if you don't look at this week, you might have something real wrong with you health wise. Please go to the doctor." And they ignore me, and it comes true. And they were very
Mm,
sick. So at that point, I was like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I'm nuts because if somebody that loves me, if they're not listening to me, maybe I'm nuts. Maybe. So every once in a while, something will come up with a relative or somebody, and I'm like, okay, if it's health, I tell them. If it's something else, like, something, I don't get in thoughts all day with this stuff. No, no. I just during the day, but if it's something health wise or imminent, yes, as a relative, if I know you will love you, I'm going to tell you, I don't care. But that's tough for me. And I know a lot of mediums is that thing that comes in, you tell somebody, then they don't act on it. And it comes true. And you're like, oh my God, why didn't you do that? You could have been healthier. Or you could have, you know what I mean? That's just part of this acceptance. But yeah, I am constantly, things come up where you think, oh man, am I crazy? You know what I mean? Is this just too much? Seeing all these UFOs or whatever. I think that that's a healthy way, that healthy, once again, a healthy skepticism. But being studied, analyzing all this stuff, the proof is in the pudding no matter what. So I know, hey, these people aren't lying. The scientist isn't going to lie to me at Stanford. He's not going to lie to me about what he thinks. So, in his emails that he wrote me and all that, he's not going to lie to me. The guy's got nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, Dr.
yeah.
Gary Nolan. And he's like, Andrew, you have a very interesting life. If anyone gives you a hard time what you're doing, just tell them too bad they're not going to understand you anyway. Just keep doing your thing. He said, in our brain, we have another brain called the antenna. And that antenna can send and receive a signal. That's why these things are coming in. Spirits, UFOs, aliens. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. So I learned a lot over the years that helped me, make sense of this. Because otherwise, oh my God, if I tried to self-diagnose myself on Facebook, I probably would have walked away from all this because, you get the best and the worst. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yep.
the internet is a crazy place, man, for sure. Like my wife's super spiritual and she posted this ritual she does in the beginning of the month for abundance and like she just got attacked, bro.
Yeah.
Like this is witchcraft, this is that. Like
Yes.
people just want they just have this desire to, uh yuck your yum for lack of a better term, right? They just want to be like, "Oh God, no, why would I do that? This is crazy." And I can't even imagine on your level with the things you talk about and the things you share how much hate comes your way. I'm sure it's overwhelming at times.
People say, how do you know that crazy? Have you spoke to a doctor or this and that? I'm like, my wife works in mental health for like, 18 years, bro. So I have a therapist on hand 24/7. And that's probably what I need because things come in sometimes 20, I'm in Australia. So 24/7, 4 in the morning, 8, all these weird times people are messaging me or something might come in. So yeah, I have a lot of support and I have a lot of people that have had a lot more experience than me. I always like to have people that have a lot more time, like double whatever I am in to go to. Hey, what do you do when this happens? Because I don't have all the answers and I might make the wrong decision. And I want a different, vantage point of somebody that has a lot more time. I notice people with experience sometimes will tell you just, hey, calm down, don't do anything, just breathe through. You know what I mean? You always don't just have to react. This, what we're in, everyone wants to react.
Yeah.
People go to the Bible, they can read in there that Jesus went into the desert to pray and meditate.
Yep.
Meditate. Now, I didn't know that growing up. I wish I did. I probably would have read more of the Bible. I think that's pretty cool. I didn't know he meditated. I thought he just prayed. You know what I mean? I didn't know that. My experience in the church was a priest hit me over the head with a Bible when I was like 9 years old. So I'm like, I'm out. I'm out, bro. No, thank you.
This isn't for me.
But yeah, no, exactly. Like, hey, and all my friends that I grew up with had issues, serious issues with some of the priests. So
Mm,
I was out, man. I knew though that I was still loved or there was something else out there. And still, I'm still on the journey. I do not have all the answers. I still love meeting people from different backgrounds. I notice now with the internet, right? We find the others, we find each other somehow, and we will get through this. If I haven't gone through it, somebody I know probably is going through something similar or like that. And you can reach out to them anytime. Once again, it's a blessing or a curse. It's what you make of it. So do not, if you're listening, anyone out there going through this, don't go through this alone, man. Stay connected. And I know people sometimes share the story and then they get bad feedback and then they disappear. They never talk about it again. My heart hurts, man. I know that's a tough place to be, but I feel if I don't share my story and I don't keep pushing this reality, then I'm a fraud to my kids. And,
yeah.
of not being who I really am and who I say I am. And it's all about them. It's for them. It's for the next generation. I'm doing this so when they grow up, they can feel comfortable about being whoever they decide to be and sharing their truth and being who they are. And if I don't do that, how are they going to get inspired to do that?
Mm, I love it, man. So I wrap up every single interview with the same question. But before we get there, let's go to the important stuff. I know you shared it earlier, but where can people find you? How can they reach out to you? How can they book a reading?
Go to, it's real easy, www.psychicfirefighter.com or any of my social media. You can find me on there. There's a link for the website there. That's really easy. I'm really easy to get a hold of. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. But easiest way, just go to my website. Yeah.
I love it. So, like I said, I wrap up every single interview with the same question since the show is called The Growth Now Movement. That question is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
Wow. So change, relocation. I always say to people too, if you really want to change, move because environment is so key. If you keep doing the same thing or trying to change 75%, but you're in the same environment, living in the same place, same roommates, same thing, and it's not working, you might need to physically relocate across the country, across the world, whatever. Then by doing that, you meet new friends, you meet new people, and professional wise, career wise, if you're doing something that you can do in another country, another state, you go and you make it there, you have made it because you always can go back to where you're from. That's easy. But to go somewhere and make it, that growth that comes, that uncomfortability, that up and down, that going to the grocery store, seeing people you don't know, how to share what you're going through. If you're too comfortable, you may not get out what you want to get out. Okay. But if you're moving and you go somewhere, you are forced to. And some people need that. And either way, that is a great way to grow. Okay. I went through a lot of ups, downs, a lot of things trying to get residency here in another country. Like I would never would have thought I would have done that at all. And I'm like, oh, well, if it doesn't work out, I'll just go back. Or no. I was all in to make this work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have gone further away.
Exactly. If I could go across the world, literally, I didn't know anybody except my girlfriend at the time. Nobody, no friends, no Nobody. I came in not knowing a soul, not having a clue was going to work out. If I would have told everyone, "Hey, I'm going to do this, I'm leaving," they would have said, "No, no, don't go, don't." I just left. I said I did what I call the Brooklyn bounce. I just bounced. That's it, you know, and that's it. You go, you made it work, and now, oh my God, I have this whole nother life, a whole nother place, and I have these two beautiful homes now that never would happen if I just stayed a firefighter. Nothing wrong with that, but for me, I knew I had to do this to grow, to expand as a human. And now I have this family that I never would have had if I would have just stayed and done what I done. That was by far the greatest growth. My family at first was like, "Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" Now, oh my God, you see how happy they are. They love it. They can come here, vacation, hang out on the beach. You know what I mean? Like, "Oh my God, this is so great. I can't believe you did this. I wish I would have done this, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, it's all good. So yeah, take that chance, take that risk. And if you can relocate or someone make that happen, take that chance. Something beautiful might just happen.
Awesome. Andrew, thank you so much for sharing your gift with my audience, sharing your gift with the world, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I absolutely love it, dude. Love this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to meet you.